Hi everyone, welcome back to The Early Show with me, Pastor Jinai. Now before we get on to today's topic, I would like to thank the sponsors of today's show. The first sponsor would like to remain anonymous, but would like to dedicate their contribution towards the liberation of all sentient beings and the attainment of compassion, wisdom and true happiness. The second sponsor is Tan Meng Hui, who accompanies their contribution with the following dedication. Namo Amituofo, may all be well and happy. And finally, Chung Buni, who would like to dedicate their contribution towards their late father, Chong Peng. So this week, I'm going to be talking about white lies. Now, one of the most basic vows that all Buddhists take is the vow to refrain from lying, and that is part of our refuge vows. But what about white lies? What about those small little lies that you tell in order not to hurt someone? First, what is a lie? A lie is when something you say and what you do don't match, or what you say does not give an accurate representation of what the situation actually is. Lies are usually told in order to deceive someone, but sometimes lies can be told for other reasons, and I'll get into that later. So, for example, always apologizing for making the same mistake over and over again and saying this will be the last time. When you don't put in any effort to change, to actually make it the last time, then it becomes a lie. Telling someone that you can't work because you're busy when actually you're just being lazy, that is a lie. Telling your parents that you didn't eat the last cookie and it was actually your brother and sister, that is also a lie. Now, what are the results of lying? Lying comes under the banner of speech, and speech is one of the most important components of social interaction. It's on the basis of speech that agreements, contracts, documents, and even personal relationships become meaningful. When you don't know someone, when you're meeting them for the first time, when you're just getting to know a person, their speech is all you have to go on. So speech is very important. Now, the reason why Buddhists refrain from telling lies is to train us to respect the truth. So when you don't lie, people can see that you respect the truth. You generate trust with other people. People want to get close to you. People want to know you because people know that they can trust you. So when you do lie, and you lie constantly, it's like the boy who cried wolf. Eventually, people stop believing what you say. People don't trust you because you clearly show that you don't respect the truth. So people who lie discredit themselves and show themselves to be untrustworthy. There are many reasons why we might lie. We could lie to avoid the consequences that come with telling the truth. We could lie to cover up a previous lie. We could lie to prevent someone's feelings from getting hurt or to prevent someone else from getting punished. We could lie to get a reward that we don't deserve, or we might lie to protect ourselves or to avoid embarrassment. We might lie to manipulate or control people. We might lie to preserve our own denial, so we want to believe a lie. We might lie to avoid a negative outcome or to make ourselves look better, to get revenge, to get attention, or to hide our insecurities. Now, when you look at this list, what you'll notice is that we don't always lie with the intent for immediate benefit for ourselves. Sometimes we don't tell the truth in order to prevent hurt or harm from coming to someone else, and that is a white lie. The difference between an outright lie and a white lie is our motivation. But before we go on, I do want to remind you guys that a white lie is still a lie. And when we tell a white lie, there still are karmic consequences. You will still incur all of the problems of not being straightforward with other people. Eventually, you'll be seen as less sincere, less authentic, and your integrity will come into question or even be damaged. And you will also create the tendency to tell more white lies, which might spiral out of control and become outright lies in the future. So, just because we might tell white lies with the motivation of preventing harm or hurt to someone else does not mean that the lie is free from karma. And I want to make that very clear. Even if it is a white lie, even if it is with the motivation of preventing hurt or harm to someone else, there is still karma. Now, I do recognize that sometimes telling the truth can cause more harm than good, especially if it's done with malicious intent. For example, the neighbor who spreads information about the family next door may be telling the truth, but they are potentially creating schism or disharmony. So they're not doing anyone a service or practicing the Dharma by spreading the so-called truth. Similarly, if someone comes running down the road with a big knife and says to you, "Where is that man who just came by here?" and their intent is clear to hurt the other person, then telling the truth might cause more harm than good. So like I said, the key thing to remember here is motivation, but also choosing the action which will lead to the most overall benefit, and remembering that there's always a way to deal with a situation beyond our initial perception of it. So what do I mean by that? Here's an example. When someone asks you, "Do I look fat in this dress?" you have a few choices of response. You can tell the truth and say yes, but it could be hurtful. You can tell a white lie and say no, and their feelings would be alright, but it wouldn't be the truth. Most of us might think that the second option is better because we save someone's feelings, but when we don't tell the truth, whether it's an outright lie or a white lie, we're denying someone else access to reality. We might be robbing them of an opportunity to solve a problem that they could have tackled only if they had been given good, accurate information. So there are actually other options for us to consider in response to the question, do I look fat in this dress? Maybe that day they're feeling a little bit more vulnerable, maybe that day they're feeling a little bit unloved, maybe that day they're feeling a little bit insecure about the way that they appear. If you genuinely think that that is the reason, then responding honestly to that subtext would not be a lie. So you can reply, I love the way that you look in that dress, but do you think that this other color might suit you more? Hence, rather than lie or prevaricate, think about how to communicate or how to couch a message, or think about what the other person is really trying to convey to you in what they say. Can you still present your response to them in a way that's less hurtful or less harmful, in a way that's still beneficial and still truthful for the other person? So what Rinpoche said is that we always have a choice. We should always speak the truth, which is useful and conducive to the Dharma, and we should avoid speech which is likely to create negative karma for ourselves or put other people in a position to create negative karma for themselves. Where a person's feelings and reputation are concerned, it is important that we practice discretion combined with wisdom, motivated by compassion. There are instances when silence is more appropriate than speech, and we can always choose that as an alternative to telling an outright lie, skirting around the truth, or being vague about the truth. Whatever our choice is, I want to emphasize again that the key here is our intent and our motivation. So, does this mean that you can lie anytime you want and say that it is for someone else's benefit? Sure, but only if you're very, very, very secure about your motivation, and only if you're very, very aware of the karmic consequences. Because remember, even if you are doing something with a good motivation, there is still karma involved. Even a lie told with a good motivation is still a lie, so there is still karma. If you guys remember the story about the Buddha in his previous life as a ship captain, when he killed a passenger in order to prevent that passenger from murdering 499 other people. It was an act done with good motivation and pure intent, but there were still karmic consequences. So, if you're not sure about your motivation, if you have some doubts, then remember what Rinpoche said, which, I repeat again, is that we always have a choice. If someone asks you a question, you don't have to lie in order to avoid answering it. You don't even have to tell a white lie. You can always say something like, I don't feel comfortable answering that right now, or I would rather talk about it later, or I don't know enough about that in order to comment on it. And all of that would still be the truth. Not everything requires a comment. Not everything requires an answer. Not everything requires our input. As Buddhists, our call to action should be to maintain as much right speech as we can in our daily interactions with others. Right speech should be spoken at the right time, it should be spoken in truth, it should be spoken affectionately, it should be spoken beneficially, and it should be spoken with a mind of goodwill. So, what about white lies? Still better than an outright lie, but it's still not great, it's still not encouraged, and it's still something that we should do our best to refrain from because it is still a lie. So that's something for you to think about. That's it from me for this week. Once again, thank you very much for joining me, and thank you again to our sponsors of today's sharing. As ever, please stay home, please stay safe, and please don't go out if you don't have to. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks' time on the final Sunday of this month. Have a great week ahead, and as ever, please don't forget to be kind to each other. Bye!